What's up guys? Welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be learning about pitch and we're also going to be learning about the bass clef and the treble clef and the stave or the staff. And we're also going to learn about ledger lines and how notes are positioned on a music sheet. Now, whenever you look at the symbols on a music sheet, most of the symbols are to do with either pitch or duration. When I said pitch, I'm referring to how high or low the notes are. And when I said duration, I'm referring to whether the notes are long or short and how they relate to each other in their time values. Now, whenever music is written down, music gets written down on a set of 5 horizontal lines that is known as a stave or a staff. So if you look at the screen, can you see a set of 5 horizontal lines? I'm circling a set of 5 horizontal lines at the moment. So this is known as a stave or a staff. Now the stave or the staff can be extended by what is known as ledger lines. So we've got the stave or the staff here. So can you see these 5 horizontal lines that I'm circling? And we've also got 4 extra lines here. So these 4 extra lines that I'm circling now, these are known as ledger lines. So the stave or the staff can be extended downwards or upwards by what is known as ledger lines. Just in case if you want to know the spelling of ledger, the spelling is L for London, E for egg, D for dog, G for goat, E for elephant, and R for Romeo. So ledger. Now notes can be positioned on a stave or a staff. Notes can be positioned on the line or between lines. So for example, if you look at where I'm circling now, can you see that the note is positioned between the first 2 lines? And if you look at where I'm circling now, can you see that the note is positioned on a line? So the note is positioned on the 3rd line on the stave. So a musical note can be positioned on a line or between 2 lines. Also, a note can be positioned on a ledger line or between 2 ledger lines or between a ledger line and a line on the stave. So if you look at where I'm circling now, can you see that a note is positioned on a ledger line and another note is positioned on another ledger line? So another note on top of the first note. Can you see that? So these 2 notes are positioned on different ledger lines. And if you look here, can you see that the first note is positioned between the first line on the stave and the ledger line, and then there is another note after the ledger line. So notes can be positioned on a ledger line or on the line that is on the stave, and also notes can be positioned on the space above a line or on the space below a line. So it doesn't matter whether it is a ledger line or whether it is a line that is on the stave. A note can be positioned on the line or on the space above the line or on the space below the line. So that is how notes are positioned on a music sheet. But here is the question: how do we know what type of note is on a music sheet? So how do we know whether a note is a C or a D or a E or an F or whatever the note is? By the way, notes are named by using the letters A to G. But like I said, how do we know whether a note is an A or a D or whatever the name of the note is? In order to know whether a note is a C or whatever the note is and what type of a note the note is, we need to attach what is called a clef to the stave. Now, there are different types of clefs, but the two most commonly used ones are the bass clef and the treble clef. So attaching a clef to a stave is going to help us to identify the type of note and the name of the note on the stave. Now I'm going to show you what a bass clef and what a treble clef looks like. So can you see this huge sign that looks like an 8 or something like that? So can you see where I'm circling? So this is known as the treble clef. That sign is known as the treble clef. And as you can see, this sign has been attached to the stave. If you look at the sign below that looks like a C and two dots beside it. So look at where I'm circling now. So can you see where I'm circling now? This symbol is known as the bass clef. Can you see that? So these two clefs help us to identify the name of a note and what type of note that note is. See what I mean? So for example, if a note is on the stave that the bass clef is on, then you're going to know that that note is not as high-pitched as the note that is on the stave that the treble clef is on. The notes on the stave that the bass clef is on have a lower pitch than the notes that are on the stave that the treble clef is on. When we're talking about pitch, we're talking about how high or low a note is. So if you want to understand what I'm saying, you can go to a piano and you're going to see that if you play the notes, if you play the keys that are on the far right end of the piano, you're going to see that they're going to sound high pitched. And if you play the notes that are on the far left end of a piano, you're going to see that they're going to sound different. So those notes are low pitched. So the notes on the stave that the bass clef is on have a lower pitch than the notes that are on the stave that the treble clef is on. In the next lesson, we're going to be looking at how to name the notes on the stave that the bass clef is on and how to name the notes on the stave that the treble clef is on.